Just when you think like you've seen it all in life, Sean.
See this car right here?
Yeah.
Scarecrow policing. It's a beautiful city. There's people that won't come here because we've become national news.
How long have you had this store for?
Only a month.
What?
And I've been through hell.
Superdog burger? Ketchup on the burger, but not on the hot dog.
Not on the hot dog. These are all migrants
They live in
the station.
That was a weird encounter. She looked at me like,
You think what we do is crazy. You're the crazy one.
Where else in the world do you have that isn't in a war-torn country?
The offender stood up over me and he fired twice, point blank. This is Sergeant Rubble. I think you just got to get the word out and hopefully something will click somewhere and make a change.
so recently retired lieutenant, right?
Yes.
How many years?
I was on 32 years. I started in January 91 and just left the end of last year.
Okay. So today you're going to bring us into different corners of Chicago, explain the current crime situation, police perspective, what's going on?
So where we are right now is we're near Montrose Harbor, and what we're looking at out here is all these tents are homeless people.
But why'd you want to show this? Because homeless doesn't mean crime necessarily. What's the thing about
homeless
this
doesn't mean
situation?
crime. So right now, our officers are completely overtaxed because we've got this migrant situation.
Okay.
And all the migrants are literally living in the police stations throughout the city. They have full access to the front lobbies of the police stations and outside. They're setting up their own encampments outside of these police stations. A homeless person, if they slept in the police station, every single morning, they're booted out in the morning. You know, we'll let them in because, you know, the weather and the elements or whatever, they can sleep in there. In the morning, they got to go. They're gone all day long, and then maybe they'll come back at night so they can sleep there. Migrants have full access. They can be there all day. They actually send buses that will pull up. Actually, it's called like a shower wagon.
Okay.
That'll pull up so that the migrants can take showers and get cleaned up. We're spending millions of dollars to take care of the migrants. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be taking care of the migrants. They're here.
Yeah.
They're here trying to get a better life. I get all that. We should take care of them. But look, what are we doing for them? We've got empty schools, we've got empty buildings all over the place. How about you set up a one-stop shopping where they have medical and they have, counseling and they have whatever they need.
Sure.
And allow both in there.
Okay. So in Chicago, are there a home for those people if they want to get off drugs, play by the rules of the curfews, be clean? Could they go into a home?
There's shelters, they're all full.
They're full.
Oh yeah, our shelters are full up.
Okay. What'd you say about vets out here?
But it's a lot of vets out here. It's a lot of
We
real
got a
old
lot of
guys.
Gulfport guys. We got plenty of Gulfport guys.
So in Chicago, can you get housing if you want? Will the city give you housing or no?
No.
If you're clean, off drugs, play by the rules, you
drugs,
can.
I don't have a felony, don't have a record.
Can you sleep at the police station?
No. Tried to get some food, couldn't get none. Tried to get some clothes, couldn't get none. Yeah. Right there on the corner.
Okay, so how do you guys feel about that?
I just gave him the finger and walked off. I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina, got a word that my dad was dying. By the time I got here, he was dead. So I paid for the funeral, everything I had. And I was living in the house that he was living in for like a month. And after that, went to go for an interview, came back, the house was padlocked.
A job interview.
Job me. I'm a cook. So you have to have a serve safe certificate down here.
In Chicago?
Yeah, you have to, yeah. You have to have one. I don't have one. In Charlotte, that's not required. So that gave me a little hard time to get a job.
Wow.
How long you been out here?
8 months.
So you were out here in the wintertime?
Not over here in the wintertime. I was just outside on the train.
So that's another place where the homeless will seek shelter is on the trains. So they'll get on the train, so it's a warm place to sleep, and they'll just ride the trains from one end to the other, back and forth. And usually when they get to the end, that's when they
transfer to the train is going back to another direction.
Right.
But then you got to look at it too. The people that's trying to go to work, going to school or whatever, they have nowhere to sit. People pissing and drinking. A lot of stuff going on that train. I got robbed on the train. That's why I'm not on it no more.
So there are all types of homeless, fair to say? Like there are guys out here on fentanyl right now. There's
to me though, what I see though, it's a lot of homeless people that have social security checks. They'd rather do drugs than try to get housing. They'll sit up for a week or two in a hotel or somewhere. Soon their money gone, they're right back on the train.
Here's $20 for you guys, okay? All right. Thank you, guys. All right. All right. Bye-bye. At the end of the day, this is not the answer. And
No.
there are resources. They've even got federal money that came in. CBS was trying to FOIA to see exactly where the money was spent, and the city's blocking them and refusing to answer the FOIAs because they don't want to say where the money went. Millions and millions of dollars. So it's frustrating. They should be able to take care of both.
Yeah.
You know, and the amount of migrants that are coming in here, I don't know what we're up to now. Let's just go crazy and say we're up to 30,000 migrants.
Mm-hmm.
How many are coming into Texas every day?
Oh, those towns are getting hammered.
So we're a sanctuary city, and it was all well and good because the politicians love that talking point. We're a welcoming city. We're a sanctuary city. It was all good as long as they weren't coming here. But as soon as they came, it's like, oh, they're terrible down there. They're using them as pawns, this and that and everything. It's because they want the talking points, and they want to be able to say that they care, but they don't want to do anything when it's at their front door.
Now they have to deal with the problem.
Now they have to deal with the problem.
It's a little more complicated.
And the problem is, so their ideas are fine. We're gonna displace the homeless.
I saw it in McAllen, Texas. McAllen,
crazy.
Texas, right near the border.
Yeah.
The homeless got kicked out of the shelter, and the migrants took over. And there was a contract with that, and there's money to be made.
100%.
Unfortunately.
Yep.
So, John, I appreciate you taking us in because law enforcement really won't go on camera these days because of the police unions. There's a chain of command. It's pretty much impossible.
Yeah.
Sheriffs can speak, but I don't think they have the lay of the land like you guys here in Chicago.
Right.
So thank you for that because it's
absolutely.
really hard to get access. And I don't know why the police unions are so against it.
It's not
because their
it's not the
voices
unions.
It's not them?
No, it's the department. The department is the one that it's department policy. You're not allowed to speak to the media and not allowed to talk about things like what we're talking about today. The police union, union would love to have all the information out there.
Okay, so I got that wrong.
Yeah,
it's
because they don't. It would be a free for all, and the departments don't want either what they perceive to be misrepresentations or whatever. They want control, right?
Yeah.
That comes from even beyond above the department. That's the mayor, the politicians. They don't want everybody speaking freely about what's going on. They want to make sure that they've got control to keep everybody quiet. I always say freedom of speech is intoxicating, and once I retired, I was able to speak out and shine a light on a lot of things, and that's even why I'm doing this today. I love this department. These are my brothers and sisters in blue, the officers and that are out there every day putting their lives on the line, and people need to know about how their own safety is put at risk because of the way things are run, and I think you just got to get the word out, and hopefully something will click somewhere and make a change. It's a beautiful city that's unfortunately being absolutely ruined by politicians.
Absolutely ruined.
Yeah.
We're going to get into that today, but as a tourist, I don't see the absolute ruined part of things.
It's being ruined from the inside, right? It's almost the infrastructure, the public safety aspect of it. Chicago's become national news on a regular basis with the crime and the issues that's going on here. That's putting a hit on our tourism. There's been a significant decline in the people coming here. There's businesses that are closing.
This is a beautiful street.
Oh, this whole area this is the Gold Coast. This is multi-million-dollar homes and condos.
But look how well it's taken care of. You have the planters here. Streets are clean.
Oh yeah. No,
versus a lot of U.S. cities, the downtown of Chicago looks way better off.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
I gotta say.
It's a beautiful city. There's people that won't come here because we've become national news because of the issues of the teen takeovers, and people in other states think that the shooting gallery here. And
yeah, but I would say as a tourist, I've been here a week and a half, come to downtown Chicago. There would be no reason not to.
100%.
It feels very safe walking around here.
It is.
Things can happen, but it feels totally fine.
Worst case scenario, if you're out here at night, you could possibly end up in a mob, and it's going to be teenagers, and they're going to be running around. They might try to steal your purse. And I mean, I know that sounds terrible.
Come on, the odds of that are so small.
The odds are pretty small, and you should be able to see it coming.
The odds are super small with that, I think.
Yeah.
Homicides have been going up the last few years, but if you look at the numbers historically, 1974, 970 homicides, 1992, 939, and then 2022, 695. So there were times where it was even worse.
Right, so it was bad in the 70s, right? Late 60s, you had all the riots back then. You had the Martin Luther King assassination, Kennedy assassination. There was all kinds of things going on. My father came on the job in January 1968 and came right out of the academy and right into the Democratic Convention riots that went on here. But then slowly, over time, the different mayors that came through here, Mayor Daley in particular, they realized that we needed to get public safety under control because that's going to have a significant impact on businesses. You know, I mean, these businesses, these stores are, this is Oak Street, super high end.
Okay.
And see this car right here?
Yeah.
Scarecrow Policing. That car is there. There's another one up there, and you're going to see them all around.
They just sit here with their lights on?
Sit there with their lights on. He's not going anywhere. He's not doing anything. We've got some cars that are patrolling.
There's a heavy presence down here.
There is a heavy presence, right. So for the most part, though, as stupid as most bad guys are, most criminals are, they figure out that the police just aren't going to do anything because that's what they're told to do. They're just told to sit there and just be present.
Okay, so criminal steals something, goes flying down this street. What are these cop cars doing?
They're going to call it in, and if there's any cars out here, we'll go after it and everything, but they're not going to leave their posts.
Okay, so it's good to have them here, though.
I'm not saying it's bad to have them here. It's one method of policing, but you still have to have accountability. You still have to lock people up. Perfect example, the first warm weekend we had here this summer, teens came downtown, took it over. They were jumping on buses, jumping on cars. I think they made 12 arrests. To give you a comparison, I came on in 91. In 1991 was the first time the Bulls won. And we had, all of a sudden the city went up for grabs. And that caught the police department off guard. We made 115 arrests. Now remember, caught us off guard, 115 arrests. 1992, it happened again. We were ready for them, 986 arrests. And then 1993, 1,200 arrests. We were locking people up. And what I was getting at earlier is when you saw those high homicide numbers in the 70s, that was going down because we were holding people accountable, locking people up. So I think we got as low as, at one point, if you look at the scale, maybe 300 or 400 murders.
Yep.
Right? And then it started to go up again. And when politics started to control how the department operated, everything from how we, when we chase cars, whether we chase people on foot or not, promotions, we stopped promoting people that had experience and started promoting people based on race and gender. Experience be damned. We started moving people up because whoever got into power wanted to move up all their friends and family as quick as they could. So you would have somebody who would go from the rank of sergeant to the rank of deputy chief in 9 months. So they don't even get an opportunity to learn each role as they're going up. So they don't have any experience of how to handle or how to do anything.
A lot of nepotism here.
Ton. It's friends and family. It's been for the last probably 10 years, big time. A lot of friends and family as far as the promotions go, absolutely. I took the exam in the late 80s, and there were 32,000 other people that took the exam with me.
Okay.
That's just huge numbers. They were all taken at the same time in all the schools and everything. Mm-hmm. And at that time, it was still hard, even though they were hiring like crazy, it was hard to get on the police department. So you would have some officers, people who wanted police officers, they would take a job in the suburbs, and then as soon as they got called for Chicago, they would leave the suburbs and come here. It was almost unheard of for anybody to resign. But what has changed is in 2021, 376 officers resigned from the Chicago Police Department. That's huge. That tells me right there that they're not leaving law enforcement, they're leaving Chicago law enforcement. And they're lateral transfers. You've got all these other departments around the country that are now poaching them. They're coming and they're picking them up and they're offering incentives and offering reasons. And basically, the one simple reason is, hey, we got your back. We'll back you up. Which is all these officers want. They want to come out here. They want to be able to do the job that they came on to do and not have to worry that they're going to get jammed up because some boss is looking to protect their own butt or some politician doesn't want to lose their next election.
Okay, so a lot of police officers aren't feeling appreciated here. It's fair to say?
I would say yes. Well, that's a given. For sure they don't feel appreciated.
Okay.
But additionally, they don't feel like that they've got the support that they need, the backing that they need. When an officer makes a mistake, and mistakes can happen in anything, right? Any line of work, mistakes can happen. Sure. Here, a mistake in law enforcement, a mistake could end in a fatality. God forbid, right? But if the officer didn't have intent and didn't do something that was just absolutely egregious, of course, the bad ones you got to hold accountable. If somebody does something that's just blatantly wrong, absolutely, it is what it is. Sometimes mistakes happen. You can't start sending these guys to prison and destroying their families, and these politicians will jump the gun in a second. They're throwing the officer under the bus before there's even an investigation.
Okay, why is that popular, though, for the politicians to do that?
Because society in general, there's always been this idea of, bashing the police, but at the end of the day, the majority of people do support and are with the police. And I still think that that's true. I think the silent majority are supportive of the police. But now it's become popular that to paint the officers, politically popular, to paint the officers as the bad guys, that I'm the anti-police candidate, I'm the candidate that's going to crack down on police brutality, as if that officers are literally running around doing drive-bys and beating people on a regular basis. That is absolutely not the case.
Right, and I'm sure these politicians have law enforcement around them, right?
Oh, protection.
Protection, right.
So I retired in November last year, and right after I retired, that's when I was able to first speak up. And Lori Lightfoot, who could be criticized for a ton of things, but one thing in particular, she took the security detail. So each mayor has their own police security detail. When Mayor Daley was in, he had 26 officers total on his security detail.
Just for him?
Just for him. But it's for him. Some of it's for his family.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
It's 26 officers, and there's a commander and some sergeants. And then Rahm Emanuel came in, he reduced it down to 16. Right? She came in and she increased it to 115. She had 115 police officers that were a detail that were assigned to not only her mobile detail that, as she would move throughout the city, she'd have 2 officers in the car with her, she'd have 2 officers following behind her, she'd have 2 officers in front of her, she'd have another 2 officers that would go in advance, but she also had a minimum no less than 16 officers protecting her house 24/7. Even if she was out of town. So you would have 2 squad cars parked in front of her house with 2 officers in each. You'd have 2 squad cars parked behind her house with 2 officers in each. You'd have another car driving around with 2 officers. You'd have a SWAT car. It's called a SORT car. This one car could literally start a war. That's got so much firepower in it. Would be parked at least a block or 2 away from her house. She had a covert car that would follow to see if her detail was being followed. I mean,
was she under a lot of threat?
No more than any other politician. I mean, she wasn't, you're in the limelight. You're going to make people mad. You're going to upset people. But she took it to a new level with the amount. You had districts that were starving for officers or people complaining about the CTAs and the crime that is on the CTA, and they didn't have enough officers to actually ride the CTA trains. And she's got 115 officers assigned to her detail. This is the 18th District of Chicago, and then these are all migrants. They live here.
They live in the
station.
In the station.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Food is brought to them. Clothes are brought to them. They have a lot more stuff than the homeless people, right? I guarantee you they didn't bring all this stuff with them.
Yeah. How many police stations in Chicago?
Roughly 23.
Is it like this at many of them? I've seen a few.
It's like, there's some that are worse than others. On average, they usually have probably 40 to 50 migrants. I mean, this is insane.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, they're just kids, right? I mean, they're still people, of course. They're human beings and they're doing what they can.
¿De dónde eres?
Venezuela.
Venezuela. ¿Cuántos tiempo aquí?
20 y pico de días tenemos ya.
Trabajo.
Sí, esperando que nos lleven a un refugio o algo, pues eso es lo que nos dicen.
A la noche dentro, ¿sí?
En la noche entramos, en la mañana salimos, así. Cuando llueve, adentro, así.
Someone just spoke to us out here helping out. She doesn't want to be on camera, but what'd she just say? Can you explain
Right, but what she just said is that there are shelters that they've set up for the migrants to take them to, and they take them there, but they migrate back here because they're better taken care of at the police station than they are at the shelter, and they don't like it at the shelter, so they want to be here.
From my understanding, they're legal to be here because they've claimed asylum. Mm-hmm. Now that's going to have to go through an asylum court. They're backed up for many, many years at this moment in time.
Right.
Most cases are not legitimate asylum cases.
Right.
Right now, it's roughly 1 in 10 are legitimate, as in fleeing persecution. Or
right.
Some terrible situation. They're economic migrants. Things are not easy in Venezuela. They're not easy in many places south of our border. They all went through a horrific journey to get here.
I'm sure.
They all paid the cartels a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like from Venezuela these days. Last time I checked from Honduras, it was 6,000 to get over the border.
Right. So
they're selling everything they have
right.
down
So
there.
that's why they're not going anywhere else. That's why they're at these police stations. This is all they know.
Yeah.
So this is where they would come and they would set up, and all that stuff that's out there will move in here every single night. And
tonight
they'll
it
fill the
comes
lobby.
in.
Oh, it'll all come in.
Yeah.
If it's warm enough, you might have a few that'll stay out there and whatnot and everything.
Right.
But for the most part, they're gonna, oh, hey, hello. They're just gonna fill the lobby here. Some districts, and I don't know if they have a community room that they'll actually let them fill up in there if there's overflow from here. See, what does this say? I don't even, it's in Spanish, so I'm not sure, but attention, it's probably telling them to leave during these hours so they can clean everything and then come back in here.
Yeah, it's sad.
It is. Saying, yeah, it's dangerous and
Yeah.
no, right.
So, Estados Unidos, Colombia, Mexico. ¿Cuántos tiempo Venezuela aquí?
24 días.
Fuerte.
Peligroso.
Peligroso.
¿Cuánto dinero para mueve Venezuela aquí? Para cada persona.
O sea, un gasto bajo, $1,000.
$1,000, $1,000.
$1,000.
Mucho, sin comer mucho. Puro pan, pan, pan y agua. Ahora, comiendo bien, bueno, ya el que quiera, $1,500 o $1,000.
So,
¿Tú?
Yo gasté $1,200.
1,200. That price used to be way more. Like a half year ago, it was way more.
well, I mean, because there's so many now, so they're probably
Maybe.
just, making it up on volume.
Maybe.
Y
Okay.
en México, de Ciudad de México, me vine en el tren.
Oh, a train?
Porque no tenía más plata.
Okay. How do you say where did you cross in the United States? Tejas, Arizona?
From
Or
Texas?
McAllen?
Laredo.
Laredo aquí. How?
Sí, fui a un refugio me llevaron a un refugio de migración, un refugio que se llama Agle Paz. Y de allí nos dieron el pasaje para acá.
So, I don't know the words. My Spanish is terrible, but
We'll piece it
so necesite make un decision para LA, Chicago, Nueva York.
¿Por qué Chicago?
¿Por qué Chicago?
Porque lo vi más tranquilo. Sí, más tranquilo.
Chill.
Safer?
Sí, más seguro, pues.
What happened? ¿Qué?
Bueno, aquí tuve un accidente en la selva del Terin y quedé un poco mal. Y aquí manejando bicicleta, me caí y me terminé, tuve fractura.
So you fell off a bike, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
¿Cómo se llama?
Giancarlos.
Gene?
Gene.
Oh, Gene Carlos.
Giancarlos.
Okay.
Placer.
Buena suerte.
All right.
Gracias.
All right.
Igual.
Okay.
Dios lo bendiga.
Gracias. Okay.
Hasta luego.
Yep.
So if you're here, like these workers here, these ladies that, didn't want us there, you could tell. They were like, don't film that. You could get the vibes.
Yeah.
They're seeing this end of things. You're seeing people, nice families,
Right.
dealing with a crazy situation you want to help. It's very human.
Sure.
So if you're just standing here, right?
It's perception, right?
I already
That's all
feel
you're
the
seeing.
emotion talking to that guy. I want him to do well. I want them all to do well, right?
Sure.
If you're on the border with Customs and Border Protection, seeing how the system is broken there, you're going to see a different world.
Right.
And they're helping a lot of people too.
Right.
So it's very,
And that's
it's all about,
you've got officers there's officers that are bringing in clothes, extra clothes that they have at home. Officers are bringing in food. Some officers are giving them money. They feel bad for these kids and stuff. This shouldn't be a police matter.
they have enough going on right now.
100%. We had the bus that came in. I don't know which district it is, but there was a 3-year-old baby on the bus that died in transit.
Yeah.
You get here.
Yeah.
And you had several of the migrants on the bus that were sick. Scarlet fever. There's illnesses that are being brought into the police stations. We've had outbreaks. We've had outbreaks of lice. We've had chickenpox, measles. Everything that's going to come with just large groups of people that are put together that don't have access to all the necessary hygiene and whatnot, and illnesses that they're bringing with them. And that puts look, you saw at the officers, there's no barrier there. There's nothing there. So in the morning, they go down and they're shaking out their blankets and stuff and everything. The officers are like, what the hell? And then concerned, are they going to catch or get sick or something and bring it home?
So we just had this officer come up to us, and he dropped it, the information.
So they're still canceling the officers' days off. So he's working, 10, 15, 20 days in a row without a day off. Plus, on top of that, during what would be his regular work days, he's working 3 days a week, double time.
He said firefighters, other city workers get maternity leave.
So it's been a recent hot button issue with the union. Almost every other city agency, there's maternity leave when they have a baby. Both husband or wife, it doesn't matter, are able to take off for the baby. Chicago Police doesn't have it, and when the new mayor came in, he just gave it to the teachers union. So the teachers now have it. And for whatever reason, he won't give it to the police officers. And so here, the fact that he brought it up is just one more thing. It's like, why? Why do they have to fight for it? You just gave it away to the teachers union. Why wouldn't you say, you know what, it makes sense. Let's give it to the officers as well.
To all city workers.
Right. And so somebody say, well, how important is it really and everything? Well, it's important enough, especially if you just had a baby. You want to be home with your child, and if you see these other departments that are getting it, and you see that the new guy that came in just handed it over to the teachers union without batting an eye, and when he doesn't give it to the police department, that sends a signal to the officers, well, maybe this guy doesn't really support the police. Maybe this guy isn't on our side. Maybe things didn't change once again, and here we are just going to go through the same motions again with a politician who talks a lot and does nothing to help or support the police. So that's why it's frustrating for them. So we're going on Oak Street to see what's going on over here. There's supposed to be a car stationed over here because I'm told that some of the migrants have been prostituting themselves behind one of the restaurants over here.
Okay. So I didn't mean this to be a migrant story, honestly, but it's sort of what's
seems to be turning into it.
It's what's unraveling.
Yeah.
But this is what law enforcement, one of the big issues they're dealing with.
Right.
But we're going to see some other parts of the city and talk about different crimes.
We are going to talk about different things going on. Yes, yeah.
So it's sort of
not
a
gonna be all
overview of Chicago PD right
well,
now.
I want to show
without
just
the Chicago
because
PD.
This is taxing the department, right?
Yeah, okay.
Our officers are busy dealing with this and working with this, and we're already thin as it is. We're already losing over 1,000 officers a year to retirement or to resignations, and we're only hiring 200 to 300 a year. I think last year we're bragging how they hired 600 officers, but when you're losing 1,100, that's, you're
right.
not keeping up with attrition. And even adding to it, look, this is the recent report, right? There's migrants that are doing prostitution because they're dropped here
with no money.
With
They
no
don't have
money,
money, yeah.
they don't do. Yes, if they go to the right places, food is being brought to them, but eventually they're going to want to venture out on their own and make their own. And unfortunately, they go to the streets. There's going to be vultures out here that are going to be looking to pick them up.
They're totally vulnerable.
Absolutely.
Right? They're
And
easy
you get
targets in
the
that
pimps
sense.
out there are going to start to try to pull them in and say, hey, I'll show you how to make some quick money. And
Right.
Next thing you know, they're...
Sure, there's some nice false promises. We'll get you an apartment. We'll get you
100%,
this.
yeah.
You can raise your kid better.
Yeah. Which, if the city wants to be a sanctuary city, then where's your plan? You now have people here, so take care of it. Letting them sleep in the police stations every single night is not taking care of it.
Okay, so you're saying areas like this in the city right now, some of the migrants are ending up in.
Some of the migrants are being recruited or, end up doing prostitution. Probably some are being used to sell drugs.
That was a weird encounter. She looked at me like, you want something?
Waiting for her to stop to see if we wanted anything. I guarantee you that's what it was.
Okay, let's see these guys coming up. I'm going to bring my mic down. What's going on out here, man?
Everything good? Yeah. Everything good?
What's your take on this, John?
I would say if we asked, we probably could get something.
Yeah. Too bad I had to pull the camera down. The guy's right there.
Yeah, if we asked, we'd get something for sure. This is...
There it is right there, that alley. They're looking back
They're definitely
here.
working.
Yeah. And those are their pimps maybe, or who knows what they're doing.
Who knows, but...
You hate to label until you know completely.
Well, because they might not even have pimps. They might have just been recruited by some homeless guys or some guys in there and just saying, hey, you can make this. And they might not be the old traditional, what you think of as a pimp. There might be some of that out there as well.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a car that's put over here. But some of that as well. But these might be just opportunists that are saying, hey, if you want to make some money, here's what you can do.
What's going on here?
Outdoor roll call. They do that to I'll be honest with you. It's smoke and mirrors. So they got some of the bosses there. They've got all the officers out here to make a showing to the public. Look, we're here in force. We're here for your safety. That's a jet flying overhead from the Air and Water Show. But that's what that is. That's an outdoor roll call.
But these guys are walking the streets.
They're going to be out here walking around the streets. So yeah.
So
They got the
there's
Cook County Sheriff
there's
with
a
them.
lot of presence down here.
Yeah, again, I keep going back to it's the scarecrow policing, right? If a mob comes down here, they're really not going to engage.
When did that change?
Changed under Lightfoot, and it changed over the last 3 years, basically, where foot chase policy was introduced, where you need to have reasonable articulable suspicion, RAS we call it, that somebody is either have committed a crime, are about to commit a crime, or in the act of committing a crime. Running in itself is not a crime. So if you have a group of people that come up and suddenly a window gets broke, unless you know exactly which person it was in that group that broke that window and then people start running everywhere, you can't chase after them. You can't, they're just running. And running is not...
But, okay, say someone breaks in
If
here.
it's one person, but if you got 50 people...
If you got 50 people, you see one of the 50 running out, you can't chase them?
But that's not how it would be. All 50 would they break the window, they'd all run inside, they all come out and be running in different directions. Some might have merchandise, some might not have merchandise, and to have our officers pick one for a theft, their idea is, and to go and chase that one person down to try to catch that one person for that arrest. They're all over the place. Instead, what you do is go in, and they go in there, you corral them, you got them, you take them, and lock them all up. But they're not doing that. The city is really good at maintaining, especially down here. I'd say when you start getting into certain parts of the city, they're not so good at maintaining. I guess, if they're focusing all the resources on this and not so much, if you get into the heart of the south and west side of Chicago, and that's the frustrating thing when you've got these politicians, some that hold office 10, 20, 30, 40 years in office, yet the communities that they represent are dilapidated and crumbling and their infrastructure is crap. How do they keep getting elected? They're doing nothing for their communities. They do nothing to fix and improve their communities. They'll talk a lot and complain a lot, but they're not doing anything.
So what's your answer to that? How do they get elected?
I wish people would wake up, and because people don't vote. They have successfully stifled the vote, if that's the right word. They've got people so convinced that their vote doesn't matter, that their vote doesn't count. Even if you have a close election, people are like, holy cow, by the next election they already forget. Oh, the last one was close. If I would have voted, I could have had an impact and made a difference.
So recent mayoral election, high turnout, low turnout?
Recent mayoral election, lower than usual turnout. And I mean, it was a hot election. It was really, really a transitional point for the city of Chicago, which way we were going to go. And you had two completely different candidates, both Democrats, but the one was definitely more conservative, more pro-police. The other one was like Chicago Teachers Union, and definitely, I would not say pro-police. And 1 million people stayed home. We have over 1.5 million registered voters in Chicago. About 500,000 people came out. 1 million people decided that it wasn't important enough for them to come out and vote. So I'm going to call him the anti-police candidate, won by 28,000 votes or something. Back in 2021, or maybe it was 2020, I don't remember exactly the date, but the mayor wanted to look like she was standing up strong against the Trump administration. So what she did is they put through city council, they modified our policies in regard to cooperating with Customs and Border Protection, or ICE.
Okay, so if it was a non-sanctuary city, law enforcement and ICE would work together,
Yes.
and law enforcement would give the illegal citizen over to ICE. ICE would deport, or is that how it would work?
Right.
Okay.
Right. If with certain laws that they would, if they committed a felony, it was dealing with the criminals. We weren't even talking about dealing with, we're not just grabbing people off the street and say, all right, show me your papers. Oh, you're not a citizen. All right, we're going to report you to ICE. That's not what it was about at all. It was criminals. I mean, if you're committing a crime here and you also happen to be illegal, why not turn them over to ICE? Do we really want criminals here in any capacity? I mean, if you're out here committing crimes, you shouldn't be here then. And they took that away, so that we are not able to, the Chicago Police Department is not allowed to work with ICE in any capacity. So this is Clinton and Crenshaw. There's a video out there that shows the last teen takeover. And basically they send out on social media, whatever app it is that they're using, where they're going to meet. And they start to show up and the crowd gets bigger, bigger, bigger. And then somebody sets off something and they go crazy. And they
Right here.
Right, yeah. Right
In the 7-Eleven?
Yeah.
So how many teens are we talking?
Hundreds. Basically causing chaos. Throwing stuff up in the air and just, destroying everything for no particular reason whatsoever. Just to do it because they could. So because of the last teen takeover that happened here, which was within the last couple of weeks, they brought in, it's a mobile police camera. So right now they're watching from the local district, has what's called an SDSC room, and there's monitor, they can monitor everything and they can see what's going on. So they can zoom in on us right now and say, hey, what's going on? What's Garrido out there up to now, right?
Yeah, but this isn't like a target location. You just go to another one over there, another 7-Eleven
that's what I mean, right?
there,
So they're just not going to come here now. They're just going to go to a different location and start somewhere else. The reason why all this stuff is happening is because of lack of money being spent in the communities, lack of jobs, lack of, all these issues and problems. But then he'll also say it's only a small percentage that are committing these crimes, maybe 5%. But somehow the other 95% that are in those same exact scenarios, lack of jobs, lack of everything, are able to restrain themselves and not come out and do destructive damage. And if you watch the video from here, and maybe we can talk to somebody and figure out exactly what happened, but I guarantee you, from what I could see from the video, they weren't stealing because they were hungry, or they weren't stealing because they wanted to put food on the table or bring it home to the kids and everything. They were literally coming in here and throwing stuff. They were just destroying.
Yeah. Sir, the camera's not on you. You're the owner, right?
They didn't even take value.
Right.
They just destroyed it. They took chips, soda, salsa, and they just threw it everywhere.
Just to be destructive.
Yeah, the fire extinguishers and it just,
spraying it everywhere.
Yeah, it was like Grand Theft Auto, Look at that beautiful view. This is what made me buy this store.
A bunch of kids without no parents.
That's exactly what it is, right?
But you know how the mayor's always like talking about all the honor roll kids and all these good kids that are doing it. That's good to reward them. But you gotta help the kids that have the bad parents or have no parents. We gotta show some kind of support to those kids so they know that we do care. I wish there was a program that we could do.
Give more schools, more. It ain't like how
they're not bad kids. They just don't have.
Ain't no more wham.
They just don't have any. They don't have
this.
They don't have structure, discipline, that sort of stuff.
Nobody.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying. That's what I was really trying to tell all the news teams.
What happened with the news teams?
They gave me like 15, 20-minute interviews, and all they took from me was mob action. 2 seconds.
They didn't let you speak?
They didn't. No, they let me speak for 20 minutes.
But it ended up on the editing room floor.
Channel 7, Channel 5.
Can I put the camera on you?
Yeah, I don't care. Okay. I don't care.
Okay.
But the mayor's gotta do something for the kids that aren't being reached, that the parents aren't there for them, or they were too young. We gotta go.
Sometimes the parents gotta step up and say, "Man, I need help."
Yeah.
A lot of people so scared of asking for help. They think they can do it all themselves.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with help. Don't nobody want to see no kids.
So you think the parents should step up and ask for help?
Yeah, the parents should step up and ask for help.
You from the neighborhood?
Yeah, I'm from the neighborhood.
Okay. How are things these days?
It's okay, but like you say, you worry about the mob things. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people scare themselves. That's why there's a lot of guns in the city. Everybody wants to get a gun. They scared. Everybody just wants the city to be good. It's a beautiful city. From what my grandmama told me, the city of Chicago got burned down. Look at it right now. It's a good city in here. Like I tell everybody, don't let the social media and the YouTube and the
that's what I'm making.
And the music videos and everything get you thrown off and everything. All you gotta do is ask for help, man. It's out here. There's a lot of people out here killing. Black, white, Hispanic. You pull the skin up off us, we ain't got nothing but blood and veins in us right here. They just they need help though. That's all. Guidance. No schools, no basketball, no football. Ain't no YMCAs no more like that. You got to get them something. I grew up playing marbles. There used to be 20 of us in a big circle playing marbles. These days they want to do other things and everything. They want attention. That's all it is. Attention. Before I even come outside, I got a 1-year-old and I got a 9-year-old. I make sure I go to the park or do something with them for 2 hours before I come outside.
Good for
That's
you.
a blessing, though. You know? Yeah.
So it's being recorded right now.
Yeah. 24 hours.
Always.
Okay. So, sir, how long have you had this store for?
Only a month.
What?
And I've been through hell.
Oh, man.
It's a new one. It looks new.
It was corporately owned. I was here for like 2 years.
Where are you from? You from Chicago?
I'm from Southside, but we have another store, Pine Grove and Diversity,
Okay.
Northside. My partner had no idea. It was like, he didn't grow up in the Southside. I did. I can handle it, but he's here for 10 minutes. Like, all right, I'm leaving now. But I'm good. I love everyone. I treat everyone with respect. And everyone that walks through this door, I say, hello, sir. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very polite person. And until they give me otherwise notion, I'm always very polite. I just really think the mayor needs to, just hear some of us small business owners out a little bit.
Do you feel like you're not being heard, small business owners?
No,
in
he doesn't
Chicago?
care. He's saying that I'm calling the kids mobsters. I didn't say that. The definition of a mob is a large group of kids.
Right.
I'm not calling them mobsters. It's
So there are a couple small sound bites taken out of context.
yeah. They did
and then-
20-minute interviews and they only
it's
took out
terrible.
what was negative.
What he's talking about, what the mayor said, he was at a press conference. One of the reporters mentioned the words mob action. And if you look up the Illinois statute, there's an actual statute that's mob action. And it's a large gathering of people that are basically committing crime, whether it be destruction or breaking, whatever. The mayor stopped everybody and said, no, wait a minute. You got to be careful with your words. You can't call them basically little Al Capones, little baby Al
That was
Capones.
totally wrong what he said.
And right, we're not.
It's not Al Capone. They
Mob
would kill
action
us
doesn't
all.
mean.
It was Al Capone.
Yeah, mob action
There would've
doesn't mean
been Tommy
mobsters.
guns everywhere.
Yeah, mob action does not mean mobsters.
No,
it means
mob is
a large group. A gathering
That's
of
it.
people.
That's what I meant.
Right, and so the mayor somehow took mob action. I thought he was a teacher, but somehow he took mob action and
Yeah,
came up
exactly.
with
You know the
mafia
definition?
and mobsters and Al Capone, and that's not it at all.
So you were put under the bus a bit.
A little bit, but a lot of people that come here, they know I'm a good guy, and I try my best.
I was just short. He just let me, Yeah, he a good guy. Come here all the time, everything, to look for people who don't want people standing in their store laying on the floor. You wouldn't want that. Nobody won't want that. That scares the customers off. Other than that, I can't say nothing but to this man as a good guy.
The other big problem is Tent City. It's a block away, and I have to remove probably 20 to 30 homeless from the front of my store because they're begging and scaring people, walking up to women. And I get a lot of people come up to me and say they don't want to come here because they're afraid. They kick my sign, they throw the garbage cans down, they throw everything. They get into fits and rages.
That's a tough way to start a day, going to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're not 24 hours here then?
Yeah.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, but they know when I'm here.
Can we go in?
Yeah, I can go in. Yeah, they know it's party time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not happening here.
You have to physically move them sometimes?
Yeah, we have to fight for what we want here.
What were you saying about the difference between the migrants coming here and the homeless?
Well, what I'm seeing is a lot of them are hard workers. A lot of them are trying to get jobs. They're at home.
The migrants.
Yeah, the migrants.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to get jobs. They're doing anything. A lot of the guys that do construction here, they're using them as helpers. I can't say all of them, but the ones I've seen, they're trying to do something.
And the migrants, unfortunately, most of them don't have work papers, so they have to work under the table.
Yeah, they're getting cash.
Right.
Yeah.
They're getting cash. So
Yeah.
they have to sort of do it sneakily, and then it's hard on the employers, too, because they have to be in this, illegal status a bit
Yeah.
with employees.
And so, and I know up on the west side, there at one time there was you could pull up to a certain gas station or a certain Home Depot, and there'd be just 30 workers that'll just mob your car, hey, we're ready to work, So I imagine now that's at the Home Depot here, right?
Yeah.
To a certain extent, is that what they're starting to gather
yeah,
and do?
I mean, even more
Because they
in the
figure that's where
south
contractors
side.
are coming to get their
They're getting the
supplies.
cheaper help, yeah.
So then you got your labor force in the parking lot waiting to jump in and go to work for the day.
I get how it affects the city and how, paying under the table is bad. We don't do it, but I get how it's bad. But these guys at least want to work. These homeless just want to leech off everybody. And that's the problem. We can't have violent mental people leeching and demanding stuff. I just had a guy this morning demand that I give him food because he thinks I'm rich and that we can afford it. No, we can't. Owners of small businesses live check by check also. People don't realize that we don't make as much as they think.
Right.
You know, it's a grind. I'm here 7 days a week.
Right.
I shouldn't be here 7 days a week. Something goes wrong, like the looting or anything else, you know, that's a loss for me. You know, we just did the loss from the looting. It was almost $5,000. I mean, they damaged equipment, stole stuff.
Right, and a lot of times they'll say, oh, well, he's got insurance or this or that,
Yeah.
but your deductible is going to be whatever it is, and if you don't want to file the claim, sometimes it's better off just to pay for it.
Just to pay for it. It goes up, yeah. So, I mean, people don't understand the deals we have with using 7-Eleven's name. I mean, it's 50-50, man. It's not, we're not getting 100% here.
Right.
We're not bankrolling like people think we could just give out stuff.
Yeah, I got to say, this is probably the nicest 7-Eleven I've seen.
They knocked aisles over. They destroyed like the front end caps.
Were you here inside?
I came on scene.
So what was that like?
It was hectic, but they were little kids, so I wasn't
How
really
little?
scared. Honestly, they looked like 10 to 18, 10 years old. So I seen some young ones out there.
Right.
There was a little kid crying. Like, my friends left me crying, bawling. And I was like, hey, buddy, you gotta pick your friends wiser, you know? Like, they left them, you know? I felt bad.
So you're basically dealing with the root causes surface, and people like you have to deal with them firsthand. So the root causes is, you know, a lot of parents aren't involved, spending enough time with their kids. There's not enough discipline. The government isn't stepping in and creating some hard boundaries with this stuff. And then you have to carry it all.
Yeah, I'm carrying the weight of my shoulders if I want to survive. You have to fight for everything in life. But there's a good fight and a bad fight. The looting is a bad fight. You know, the good fight is earning it. I do a job on top of this.
Seriously?
I'm a graphic designer.
No way.
Yeah.
You go home from this and
I bang out some jobs. So it's like, it's never ending hustle. You go home, edit. That takes hours, bro.
Yeah.
I've done that editing. So I understand. It's a grind.
yeah, and nothing's ever for sure.
No.
I could lose my channel tomorrow. You could lose this business tomorrow.
Me and my guy had 3 pizza businesses for COVID. We had pizza buffets. We lost everything. This is my second time losing everything in life and coming from the ground up.
Gotcha. That's a shame. So that's the little girl that was shot in the head, right? Yeah, that's horrible. So the wake is tonight? What funeral home? Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right, man. All right, thanks. I'll talk to you. All right, bye-bye. So that was Alderman Spazzato. Just did a murder last week. A neighbor was in his house. Little girl was outside playing, 8 years old, and he was complaining that she was making too much noise middle of the day. He walked out and shot her in the head. The father saw it, tackled him, fought over him. Gun went off, shot the offender in the face, but he survived. And then the father went to his little girl, and the little girl didn't make it, so the funeral is right. The wake is tonight.
Oh my God.
It's horrible. I mean, and all the guy had to say was that the offender ultimately said, "Oh yeah, I was on some pretty hard drugs, didn't realize what I was doing."
So what's going to happen to him?
Oh, he'll get convicted of murder, and he'll get sent away.
How many years do you think?
Boy.
Shooting an 8-year-old?
Shooting an 8-year-old in the head, just walked up to her point blank. I mean,
That's life, right?
oh, I'm sure he's not getting out anytime.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but
I was scared you were
Horrible.
going to say like 5 years or something. I'm like, oh my God.
oh no, something like that. They're gonna be solid on. There's so many other things though they do get a lot out for, but no, that one.
It must be absolutely brutal. Being out of law enforcement, to leave your family every morning, go out and deal with society's problems.
So that's the thing about it is, as police officers, I mean, I loved the job. I mean, I loved being a police officer. The ability to be able to go out there and to help people, and the camaraderie, and just the whole thing that goes with it. And there's just so much variety. It's not like you're going just to an office job 9 to 5 and you're doing ABC every single day the same thing. It's always something different.
It's exciting.
It
right?
is exciting. It's got you're going from moments of boredom to all of a sudden you're off and running and chasing after somebody and doing whatever you're doing, and basically helping people that are being victimized and in every aspect of it. But at the same time, you see some horrific stuff, some stuff that that really takes a toll over time. I mean, we're still human beings, and as much as officers suppress all that stuff, that's why you end up with a high rate of suicide, and you end up with a high rate of alcoholism, and you end up with divorces, and you end up with all these things, because eventually it's going to catch up to you. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's in our DNA. It's what we do.
Knowing what you know now, would you get into it? How policing is now? Would you sign up for it again?
So that's it. Probably not, because of the way it is now. It's completely different now than it was. The ability to be able to help people seems to have changed dramatically. And I say that, I know that sounds weird. It's like, okay, well, what do you mean you can't help people? Because look, the store that we just came from, there's no police officers around here that are going to be able to prevent it from happening again.
In the 90s or 2000s, you would have been able to...
We would have locked everybody up. We would have pulled up here with the we call them the paddy wagons, but the police wagons. We would have pulled up there and grabbed everybody we could, locked up as many as we could.
So what would have happened to the 11-year-old?
The 11-year-old
that's looting at the 7-Eleven.
Brought him to the station, and his parents would have to come and get him. So,
Okay.
you know what I mean? So
there's
now
accountability.
there's accountability. The parents are being inconvenienced because we're going to track them down, and we're going to call. And trust me, I had it before where we had little kids in custody, and we're calling, and we send a car out to the house, and and it's inconvenient for them. A lot of them don't want to be bothered with it, or they don't want it, but you force it. You make it happen, and that's just what they have to do. And when you do that, then because they don't want to have to do it again. They don't want to get called out again. So
what happens now when the 11-year-old gets caught there?
Now he's probably going to get dropped off at home, and hey, don't do that again. That's it. There's no inconvenience to the family. There's nothing. There's nobody's going to have to go to court. There's going to be almost no accountability whatsoever.
Do you have a lot of these in Chicago?
Yeah, yes.
So what do these people do in the winter, though?
A lot of them go to the trains, and they ride the CTA trains all night to stay warm. Sadly, some of them will freeze to death.
You saw that in law enforcement?
Oh, absolutely.
Freezing to death?
Yes. Now, somebody donated these. I guess these are, they're tore up pretty good. These orange ones are like they're insulated a little bit better.
Okay.
Somebody donated them, but obviously they're getting destroyed and beat up. So, I don't know how well they're going to be, but oh, look, they even have an entrance.
But no one here can show up at the police station and ask to sleep
No
there
way.
for the night.
Not in the summertime. But if it was freezing cold in the wintertime, yeah, every police station, every firehouse, they're warming centers to get in out of the cold, to help them if they can get there and they can come in. There's also groups and organizations that go out and try to pick people and find them, see if they can get them to come in. Some don't want to come in because they have a lot of, like I said, there's mental issues or substance abuse issues. Yeah, but in the morning, unless it's really, really bad conditions outside, they're going to be told to leave. They're not going to get the same treatment that the migrants are getting. They're just not.
What's this here?
Juvenile court. So this is where the kids that are going to be detained will be housed. And
This whole building?
Yeah.
For the city?
Yeah.
How's it in there? Have you been in there?
Yeah.
Pretty sad, though, seeing all those kids in there.
There's just so many kids that are just, they're either forgotten or their parents are doing drugs and not caring about them and taking care of them. So they're just discarded and left to fend for themselves. And the gangs pick them up then, right? So
Right, because the gangs offer that family structure they're craving.
Right. So, like that, there's the kid Adam Toledo. I don't know if you heard about that case. That's the 14-year-old, and they're trying to fire the officer, which is complete BS. But that was the case where the 14-year-old was with the 23-year-old. 23-year-old is on video shooting at a car that goes by. Shot spotter goes off, which alerts the district that shots fired.
Okay.
Officers respond there. 2 subjects take off. The one stops and falls. The partner grabs that one. The other partner continues on, chasing the one that he sees has got a gun in his hand. He gets to a point in the alley. He's yelling at him, drop the gun. The kid turns, and in a split second, if you watch the video, the officer had, I think, 0.8 of a second to make a decision, because you see the gun when it's down, and the kid turns and brings his hands up. And what he did is, in one motion, the kid threw the gun behind the fence, but there is absolutely no way you could see that. So the officer fired one shot, hits him in the chest. The kid goes down. And, you know, it's not like the officer didn't pull up and say, oh, look, I'm chasing a 14-year-old with a gun. All he knows is that he's chasing a person that's got a gun in his hand that he's responding to a shot spotter that went off where shots were just fired there. So he's not chasing a kid, he's just chasing an individual that he doesn't know who he is or doesn't know anything about him. All he knows is he's a man with a gun. And but as soon as that one shot goes off, the kid goes down, the officer immediately holstered his weapon and went and started performing CPR, did everything he could to try to save that kid, and until other officers came and were able to relieve him and took over on the CPR. And, you know, if you watch the video, you actually hear, I mean, the officer's, he's breathing heavy, he's sighing, then you can hear the officer actually starts to cry, and he's walking around, and then you can see he goes right behind the fence there, and he shines his light on the fence, and he sees there's the gun that the kid just pitched. And he's not jumping up and down, hey, the gun's over here. He just like, you know, like he knew he was right. He knew he saw a gun, and in a split second, he's distraught that he had to take, you know, to shoot this kid, but he wasn't left with any options. And
so what's happened to the officer?
So immediately put on administrative leave, like they always do. They go through the process. State Attorney's Office decided that they reviewed it. They weren't going to charge. But then the department decided they're moving to try to fire him for violating the foot pursuit policy. The officer didn't necessarily see a gun right away. The gun didn't appear until he was already well into the foot chase. There's so many issues and so many problems with it, but at the end of the day, that policy wasn't even in place at the time. The policy came into place after, but they did have they put out a guide for suggestions on, you know, how this policy would be. So it's all BS and it's all political, and they're just looking to hang this officer out to dry, and what they put this officer through is one more reason that it just spreads throughout the department, that low morale, because it just shows that there's always a political agenda to every single decision that they make, and this is no different.
So it makes the job extremely difficult. You have to make all these split-second decisions, like when you're in survival mode sometimes, right?
And because of it, more and more officers are getting hurt and going to get hurt because they second guess themselves. You have to be able to, with all the training that you get, to be able to make that decision and not have to worry that if this ends up going viral on social media or the news or whatever, that they're going to try to fire you for it, because that's going to cause them to second guess themselves or to relax, and that's when officers get hurt or killed. We're going into the west side of Chicago, and just another example of the type of violent crime that we have going on in Chicago. This is a McDonald's over here where the father took his daughter out to the McDonald's, and rival gang members saw him, wanted to shoot at him, and ended up killing his daughter in the car behind him.
That's so sad.
This is the 11th district, Harrison and Kedzie. It would be considered one of the higher crime districts in the city.
So homicides are not at the highest point. They're going back up again. But This is what I heard from a guy in Southside. Shootings, gunshot wounds are way up.
Off the charts.
So what's going on? Correct me where I'm wrong.
Medical.
They're shooting legs, they're shooting butts, they're shooting parts of the body, not to kill them, but just to, it's almost like the modern day fist to the face. No? Am I wrong on that?
No, nobody could shoot like that. Nobody, you know, that's Hollywood that you can shoot them. You know, it's like telling police officers, why did they shoot the gun out of his hand? No,
what is that?
They're doing
just
drive-bys.
Bad shots?
No, it's better medical. They're saving more lives. You shoot somebody. Here, if an officer gets there on scene quick enough, they've got the packs to be able to stop bleeding and stuff themselves, you know, then paramedics.
So if we were back in 1970...
Look,
what's that?
This is Harrison and Kedzie. They're finally fixing this garage, but I mean,
okay, so if we were back in 1970...
People that get shot
there would have
today,
been thousands...
Yes. If you had the same amount of shootings now in the 70s, you would have had 2,000 murders a year. They're just better at saving people now than they were before. People are surviving what used to be fatal injuries.
Oh, thanks for that.
That makes sense. The big difference is medical technology. That's why the homicide rate went down from the 70s to, I shouldn't say alone, policing, had a part of it, but a big, huge, significant part of it is they saved more people. 1993, I just got off work, and back then we had pagers, and I got a page to call somebody back, and I went here, and the payphone that was there didn't work. So I went inside. I knew the clerk that was working there. He knew I just got off work, and I asked him if I could use his phone. Well, while I was talking to him, he told me that there was 2 guys that were parked out in a car. See where that sign is? It has like graffiti on the back of it.
Okay.
So there was 2 guys in a car there, and they were drunk, and they were coming inside, giving him a hard time, and asked if I could just go out and shack them and get them to leave. So they were right here.
Right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so at that time, I was only on the job 2 years, young, naive, thought, oh, all I have to do is go out there and show my badge and tell them to leave, and they're going to go because I'm the police. And so I did that, went out there, and when I went to the driver's side, now I'm in between 2 cars, right? I tap on the window, and I have my badge in my hand, and I show my badge in the window. So the guy looks at me, looks at the badge, looks up at me, and I notice at the same time, the other guy was leaning over, and they were trying to pop the ignition. They were trying to steal the car. But at that point, the guy that was in the driver's seat, he was actually out on parole for a reckless homicide and didn't want to go back to jail, so he rolled out of the car. We started struggling, fighting in between the 2 cars. The other guy came around, knocked us down, and then now I had the 2 guys up on top of me. The one offender kicked me in the face and head repeatedly, and my head was hitting the rim of the car next to us. The impacts were so hard that I could actually see a flash of light with every kick. The other guy started going for my gun. I had a 5-shot snub nose on. We started struggling for the gun. They were able to get my hand on the side, and the one guy was stepping with his heel into my hand, and I could literally feel the gun slowly slip out of my hand, and that was the worst feeling in the world when the gun was gone and I knew that I lost control of the weapon. The offender stood up over me, and he fired twice, point blank. One of the rounds grazed me in the top of the head, and then he took off with the gun. The other guy stuck around to put in a few more kicks. Officers arrived on scene because the 7-Eleven clerk called. They were able to catch the one offender on scene. The other one got away at the time. They rushed me to the hospital. They had to have a plastic surgeon come in. I got 37 stitches in my lips. My jaw was dislocated. I had a hairline fracture in my orbital bone on my cheek there. I was messed up pretty good. The offender that they caught on scene, they got him to the station. He actually ended up having a cuff key concealed on him, and he was able to get himself uncuffed and got out and escaped from the station. Jumped on a bus. He walked out of the station, jumped on a bus. He was gone. There was a manhunt that went on. They caught him the next day, and then when they caught him, he gave up. The other offender was his brother-in-law.
So you have to be a little bit crazy to be an officer, don't you? Like, you have to be a little crazy to step out of your house in the morning, say bye to your wife and kids or no kids, dogs, whatever, and know that you might be getting into that. That sounds terrible.
No, but so something to say to that, right? So, and I noticed it actually when I retired. When the day I retired, I remember we had what's called cake and coffee, and that's where everybody, all the officers in the station, they come around and they tell stories about you, and it's just a tradition thing, right?
Yeah.
I remember looking over at my wife, and that was the most calm, pleasant look on her face that I had seen in a long time. It was like the stress just washed away. And I realized in that moment that police officers, when we go to work every day, you wouldn't be able to do your job if you were going to work every day worried that today was going to be your last day or today was the day that something bad was going to happen to you. We don't think that at all. For us, we get to work from the time we step in the door. It's ball busting, joking, camaraderie, laughing. Now we're going to go out on the street and we're looking for the bad guys and patrolling around, and you're talking to your partner in the car. And then there's those moments when something jumps off and now you're immediately chasing a man with a gun, running through the yards, doing whatever you're doing, or maybe there's a car chase or whatever happens and stuff. And then after it's all done and over with, if everything goes well and nobody gets hurt or anything, then it's oh, that was awesome, and the stories about that. But for our families, from the time we walk out the door, it's stress. They hear somebody, if an officer got shot, was that their loved one? They're, immediately trying to call and get a hold of you. Before, when I came on, there was no cell phones and there was no, there was pagers, but if they heard something on the news, now they're calling everybody, trying to find out what happened, calling the station, see if everything's okay. It's constant stress for not only your spouse, but for your parents, for your siblings. They're experiencing a different experience than what
they're not getting the reward that you're getting.
No,
because you're taking risk, and in that risk is excitement, and you feel alive. And then there's the camaraderie, the brotherhood.
Yeah, you're not thinking about. We're not honing in on the risk. All they're honing in is on the risk, right? Okay. The family, that's all they know is the risk. With us, the risk is so far down on the totem pole. All the other things are what we're dealing with and thinking about, and the risk just. I don't want to say it's not a factor, but it's not at the forefront of our minds on it, because you wouldn't be able to do your job if you were.
Yes, that's why I think you guys are all a little bit crazy.
That's why I say it's in our DNA. You think what we do is crazy. You're the crazy one. You're the one that's going to Iran or going into, the hood, and you're, interviewing gangbangers and maybe talking to cartel or whatever it is that you're doing. You got no backup. You don't have a vest on. You don't have surveillance. You have nothing. At least we've got a radio. We've got a bulletproof vest. We've got a gun on our hip. We've got, at least we have the perception of safety. You're on a tightrope with no freaking net. Be careful. So this is Super Dog. It's been around at least since the 50s, and it's one of those old where the car pulls up and they come out and take your order type of thing. It's a very popular place.
All right, so how do you know John?
So just through the police department. When I was a cop, I never had the pleasure of working with John, but when I ran for office, he was running for office at the same time. So
for office, what do you do?
Alderman of the 41st Ward.
Okay. What's good here?
Everything's good here. If you want a cheeseburger, the cheeseburgers are awesome. The Whopper cheeses are awesome. If you want a hot dog, they got great hot dogs and fries.
What are you getting?
I'm not getting anything. I'm getting something to drink. I gotta watch what I eat. I let myself go. Why don't you give them the Whopper cheesy with just the ketchup on it, and it'll get the fries on it and everything. Yeah.
Okay,
that's it.
Okay, so
Anthony, you don't have to pay. Come on.
I got
I'll give you this payer number 13. When Starbucks, you can come back and pay.
You got it.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, boss. Anthony, so you're one of the 50 aldermen.
I am.
In Chicago.
I am the alderman of the 41st Ward, which is the farthest northwest side ward in the city of Chicago.
So what's going on in Chicago through your perspective and alderman's perspective, which you're all different, right?
Yep. We're all different, 50 of us.
50
all
of
50
you.
of us are different. Every ward is a different ward, different animal. We're extremely lucky the way that the dynamic works in the northwest side.
Okay.
It's a ward that is broken up of just an astronomical amount of city workers. You've got Chicago police officers, firemen, plumbers, electricians. The vast majority of your city population employees live on the northwest side here.
Oh, interesting.
We have the least amount of police officers allocated to the northwest side. We're the 16th district. 16th district is the largest district in the city of Chicago, and we have the least amount of crime because a lot of the police officers here help maintain the streets and protect it even when they're on or off duty. If you look at our wards right now, you have multi generations of family that never left the neighborhood. Like my first house was 4 blocks from the house I grew up in, and now I'm on my third house, all within 10 blocks of the house I grew up in.
Okay, so there's accountability. Mm-hmm. You see something happen at your neighbor's house, you've known them forever.
Yeah.
You're gonna step in.
Yeah, protect your neighbors, protect your property, and protect the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And a big thing too is we're community based, we're parish based, we're based off our churches here too. We raise our kids. we put the time and effort into taking care of our kids, raising them right, making sure that they're growing up with a parent. Even if it's a broken household, both parents are taking accountability for those children and making sure they're brought up the right way.
No teen takeovers at the shop and save there?
You're not going to see it. If anything, you're going to see teens volunteering there if there's any type of community events going on.
Okay, now you're making it sound like a North Korean tour. It's like amazing. It's the most amazing place.
You know what?
Kids volunteering.
It is the most amazing place. That's why, I've never left. And no one ever leaves the neighborhood. Like I said, you'll end up buying a house 4 blocks from your house.
Yeah.
Where everyone says, I grew up, I'm moving away. That's not what happens.
What's a home cost around here? Modest, 3-bed, 2-bath type place.
So there's a humongous up and down swing on that. You can get a 3-bedroom home in this area for about $375,000, all the way up to $750,000. It depends on where it is. A lot of we have some McMansions in the neighborhood too.
So $750, you're getting a nice place.
You're getting a nice place. We even have $1 million homes in the neighborhood as well. And we have a lot of 3 flats, 4 flats, multi-unit buildings that are owned by the residents that live here. They'll live in it and they'll rent it out to neighbors in the community as well.
So Chicago really broken up into neighborhoods like most cities.
Yeah.
But from what I'm understanding through what you just said, you guys seem like you're doing pretty well here. Another part of the city might be doing terribly. And you're like living in 2 different worlds almost, even though you're in the same city.
It is like 2 different worlds. And it's unfortunate that's the way it is, but when people came to Chicago back in the day, even my father told me, my grandfather, you moved to the neighborhood, like I'm Italian American. My father told me back in the day when his family came over, they all moved to the Italian American neighborhood. They moved to where everyone spoke the same language. A Polish American did it too. A Polish did it too. Jewish, Irish, African American. Everybody moved to the neighborhoods those neighborhoods just blossomed from there. But you ended up being around, as they say, oh, it's so segregated here. That's not true. Chicago chose to segregate itself and still does it to this day, but they don't do it out of malice. They do it out of, you want to be by the Italians, you want to be by the Irish, you want to be by the Polish.
Is it a cultural thing?
It's a very cultural thing, yeah.
Okay. So you don't see anything wrong with it?
The thing I see wrong with it is sometimes you just over-exploded with this one nationality in one neighborhood.
Yep.
And that could be, that's a tough go at times, but you know what? Still to this day, when people come across the ocean or move from a different country to here, they move to the neighborhood where they speak the language and
where they feel comfortable.
Yeah.
You want to go with what you know, what's familiar.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's natural human behavior.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really. So in the national news or on YouTube, people are saying Chicago's so dangerous. What would you say to that?
It is absolutely dangerous. I'm not gonna lie to people.
But you're saying here it's not.
Well, here it's not because we police ourselves over here. But if you look in the other parts of the city right now, where they've demonized the police, you got aldermen that are trying to get police officers fired, trying to defund the police, trying to pull resources away from officers, trying their hardest to get less people to take that job right now. So you go in these other neighborhoods that are a little bit tougher on crime or have a lot more crime. There's no policing there. It is so out of control right now. Here, to date right now, we are on August 17th. As of right now, we have 2,015 people shot in the city of Chicago, 417 homicides. Where else in the world do you have that isn't in a war-torn country? There's nowhere. So it's the unfortunate thing about it. If you look at the last 5 years in the city of Chicago, amount of people shot here, I think it's over 37,000 people have been shot here in the last 5 years. Where are those numbers? Where else in the world do those numbers exist? We have an extreme issue here with accountability for parents raising their kids, for neighborhoods actually cracking down on the crime in their neighborhoods, where you got these social and community groups that are saying they're getting involved and getting to these kids. They're not. There's not. There's a gun in every car.
So you want to get rid of guns? Do you think that's the solution?
I'm an advocate of the gun right now.
Okay.
I'm an advocate of the gun because there are so many guns on the street right now that for John Q. citizen that pays his taxes or pays her taxes, that follows the law to the T, they're not safe. They're absolutely not safe. Because
you're saying citizens should have their own gun?
I think I'm totally fine with citizens.
What's it here in Illinois? Can you conceal carry?
Conceal carry? Yes, you can. You can conceal carry. And my thing is our citizens right now, we're being carjacked. And not this neighborhood's seeing carjackings too. You got people stealing catalytic converters
Oh yeah, that's going crazy everywhere.
At an alarming rate, and the way they're doing it is they have a lookout that's carrying a gun. We just had it just about 2 weeks ago. A guy upped a pistol on somebody walking by while they're stealing the catalytic converter. So nobody's safe right here, and I'm an advocate for the gun. Unless you're gonna.
So you're saying all that you're appalled by the numbers of gun shooting victims,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're appalled by those numbers, but then you want everyone to have guns.
Well, what I would like is I would like everybody to be properly trained, properly licensed, and to
Okay.
properly have the vetted information to actually carry a gun. Where if you look at 99.9% of the criminals on the street right now, not one of those guns have been. You guys want this table over here? Not one of those guns. Hey, take it. Not one of those guns have been purchased over the counter legally. No one's been certified. No one's carrying a concealed weapon card. These are offenders that are buying these guns illegally.
So if you do away with guns, you take them out of these citizens' homes or cars, but the criminals will still have the guns, right?
Oh my God, at an alarming rate. An astronomical amount of guns out there.
Yeah, that's just common sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
So
like the criminals aren't going to follow the law. with
They don't
guns.
follow the law.
Yeah, yeah.
Before we had concealed carry, Chicago is one of the harshest and strongest gun or anti-gun enforced cities in the entire country. We have the strictest laws against handguns.
Which means what? Like what?
Which means that even when we were the most enforced against illegally for the illegal carrying of a firearm, we couldn't keep up with the amount of offenders that had guns. So there was nothing set in place. The concealed carry just came, I don't know how many years back, but that's new. The ability to carry a handgun, that's new. It was illegal, period. It's considered blasphemy if you try to put ketchup on a hot dog in Chicago. I used to actually get yelled at, by my father, jokingly, like you're ruining a Chicago hot dog. You can't put ketchup on a Chicago hot dog. So he got a.
I got a hamburger. Can I put ketchup on
this?
this?
You can put ketchup on a hamburger for sure.
Sean, what's going on here?
So this is Sergeant Rubble. He kind of became the district mascot. We rescued him about a year ago. He already got his uniform dirty and he just put it on. He became almost like an emotional support dog for the officers of the 16th District. They love him over there. He was abandoned a year ago over at Harlem and Foster. We took him in and he needed a surgery. We got his surgery and now, like I said, we take him to schools and to different events and even the angriest or most stoic officer just, melts and smiles when he walks in the room.
Super Dog Burger.
That's a Whooper Cheesy.
Whooper Cheesy. Since 19-something, right?
75 years this year.
A little cheese, ketchup.
Delicious, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to eat.
It is easy. It is easy. Nice soft bun. And ketchup on the burger, but not on the hot dog.
Not on the hot dog. I told you they make an issue with that.
I don't want to just go doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Solutions are basically, I hear it through and through again. Strong parenting, good values. Is there anything else I'm missing on that, or is it that simple?
No, it's not that simple. We're also going to have to hit a point where that mask that's been put over the police department has demonized them, that they're evil, that they're bad, and that they're doing wrong out there constantly, and we have to get behind our police officers. If you let the cops go out and do their job to the best of their ability, being proactive police officers, they're going to shut down crime before it happens. Unfortunately, where we're at right now, because the lawsuit rules the country, you have officers that are forced to be reactive because the proactive officer gets sued and nobody backs up the proactive officer. Why did you do that? Well, it looked like there was suspicious activity. Well, if suspicious activity doesn't follow the proper guidelines of what you do as a police officer, now you're profiling. So you're going to get sued for that and lose your job. What other option do these officers have not to sit back and hopefully see something before it happens, or other just listen to their radio and react to it? When I got on, and I know when John got on, the officers had the utmost pride to get in that car and look for something that's going on, the drugs, the guns, to find it. Now, everybody's looking for a way to sue the police. They got their phones on everything, film everything, because we want them to make a mistake that a lawyer could prove in a court. That's a tough pill to swallow for officers. So we gotta let the police be the police again. That'd be a huge difference.
always going to be bad policing.
Absolutely.
Like bad burger makers,
Yeah.
like bad doctors, like bad teachers, bad YouTube creators.
Yeah.
So the goal is weed out the bad ones, back the good ones, right?
Train. Vet them properly before you get them in here. Don't just try to hire people because you have to fill certain demographics. Why not hire the people that want to be the police and want to do the job, whether they're female, whether they're male, whether they're white, Hispanic, or black. Go after the ones that really want to be the police and train the heck out of them and give them the opportunity to be good police, but then back them up when they're doing their job.
What about pay?
I feel that our police officers get paid a good amount of money, but for how difficult the job is and how much time and effort they put into this and how much overtime and how much family time they miss, they're nowhere near the amount that you're supposed to pay them.
What's a starting guy get paid and then say 5 years in?
God, right now, I don't even know what the start is right now.
Is it 60,000?
I think it's 60,500, and then you go into a five-year step.
Five-year step, so maybe they get up to, I think they get up to 100 now.
Yeah.
So 60,000. Someone can raise a family on that here. The wife would have to work, or the husband, the partner would have to work, right?
There's the vast majority of this neighborhood works 2-3 jobs easily.
Police officer only works one job, though.
No, absolutely not.
No. There's lots of police officers that maybe they were carpenters before they became police officers, so they work their carpentry on the side. Some of them are real estate inspectors, and they'll do that on the side. I was a lawyer. I did that on the side. Especially if you're trying to put your kids through private school, because let's face it, the Chicago public school system is horrific. It just is. That's a fact. Look it up. I mean, it's not good. So nobody wants to send their kids to the public schools if they can avoid it. Now, there are some public schools, but a very, very small number of them, and they're hard to get into because you have to live right near them, or to get your kids into them or know the right person. But they're going to send them to private school. Private schools are expensive now. To go to Catholic school is not cheap at all. And there's no way you can do it on just a regular one police officer salary. And if you want your wife, if you're at a family where you decide where the wife is going to stay home and take care of the kids while you work, they're working overtime, they're doing court, they're trying to get as much as they can in, and they're working whatever side job. Some of them are actually working security on their days off just to make ends meet. I believe in any big city department, whether it be LA, Chicago, New York, that any officer that's on, probably 5-10 years or more, that they have some form of PTSD. The stuff that you're subjected to, that you see, the violence, the gruesome scenes, whether they be suicides or just a death investigation where the person was there for a month before they were discovered, or the horrific things that people do to each other, that they do to animals, all that stuff builds up over time. And like I was saying before, that while we don't outwardly express that stuff, we internalize it, right? And you build a callus to it, but it builds up over time. And I think that the reason why there's such a high suicide rate with police officers is because of the PTSD.
How bad is
it's not diagnosed. It's very bad. I mean, we have a city of 12,000 police officers, and at one time we had as many as 5 counselors, and I think they brag about how they're up to 15 now. They're trying to get up to 23. I mean, that's nothing of what's needed. And because they're so short-staffed, they only come out when an officer kills himself, or when there's an officer that gets killed in the line of duty or something. Then the counselors come around for a little bit, they'll talk to roll call, and then they disappear again, and we don't see them. It's available to us, but it's not the same as if you could have that where every district. I believe actually that officers should be required to go quarterly to sit with a counselor for an hour. Whether you say something or not, at least have to sit there in a room with them, and I think officers would start to open up, and I think it would be very helpful to the officers. But there's so much red tape with that between the city and with the union and whatnot, whether they would do that or not. But I mean, things like this, bringing a dog to roll call, all this stuff makes a difference. And I know we're big city, cops, Chicago, supposed to be all tough and everything, but you need this stuff from time to time, right, buddy? Right? Let's go, Slowpoke.
Keeping the streets safe. Oh, yeah.
That was a dilapidated old newsstand that was just falling apart, looked like crap. And I would pass it every day. I'd be going to work. And I stopped to check it out to see if it was abandoned because I never saw anybody in there, and found that there was a guy there that was, he would only sell newspapers once a week on Sundays.
Right
here, see this? His name was Anthony. I got on social media and said we were going to fix it up. The community came out big time, and we put a new roof on it. I got an artist who's a police officer actually described what we wanted to do, and we got a mural that was created. This is Anthony. He was the newsstand guy that was here. And then on this side over here, this is my other dog, Pedro. So Pedro made the newsstand. And then this side here, my plan was, and I just haven't gotten to it, is I'm going to have the local schools do some type of a mural or something and everything, and let them put some up on this side. So the goal was to get Anthony set up and everything, because we found out while we were in the process of it that he was homeless, and he was a vet.
Okay.
He was in the Air Force. We put together a GoFundMe. We were able to pay for his rent for like 2.5 years and got him set up, and it came together really, really nice. It's gotten a little bit beat up. I got to come back out. We're gonna stain the side over here and fix it up. Somebody graffitied the door, so we got to replace the door. But the community that came out, it was incredible. Just, from just a social media post, everybody came around. A roofing company donated the roof. A spray foam insulation company spray foamed the inside of it. I had a carpenter, Tony Galati. He came out and he did all the carpentry work to fix it up. Like I said, the door got jacked up.
So one thing you were saying off camera is that crime in Chicago currently is spreading out into neighborhoods like this, which is a bit unusual, right?
Yes.
Or what were you saying exactly?
Yeah, we're on the northwest side of Chicago right now. Some Joe can call it Copland because where all the first responders live, or teachers and city workers, basically. And what the issue with Chicago is crime for the most part used to be predominantly the higher crime areas would be the south and west sides. There'd be crime all over, but not as much now that it's spread out so much, and there's probably a lot of reasons for that, but this district here on the northwest side is 30 square miles.
Okay.
And
that's huge.
It is huge. To try to police that with a thinning police force, you end up with a lack of manpower, with a lack of presence.
Yeah.
Right? And the thing about it is there's no cookie cutter method for policing in a city this size, because what might work here might not work in Inglewood. What might work in Inglewood might not work downtown, right? So in Inglewood, there's a lot more problems and issues, societal problems. There's a lot of different things going on there. Whether they're poor, there's a lot of things going on that you're not going to be able to police your way out of.
Yeah.
In a community like this up on the northwest side, where it's middle class, you don't have a lot of the problems that you would have on the south side. This is where high visibility does work. Where if you see a squad car all the time, that's going to deter crime, because majority of the crime that's happening here is imported. It's driving in, because we've got the expressway here, so they can jump right up the expressway. Yeah, right on the other side.
Okay.
These are train tracks here.
Okay.
Right on the other side of that is the expressway, and it runs right downtown, and it curves around, and it circles right into the south and west side of Chicago. So because of that, if we had a bigger police presence here, like we used to have, that's a deterrent for crime. But again, if you were to go to Inglewood, you can throw 500 police officers. Unless you got a police officer every 20 feet, you're not going to have the same impact as far as the deterrent is. You're going to have a little more action. So politicians have no problem depleting the workforce here to send them to those busier districts.
Oh, interesting.
And what they're doing is, like when it was Jody Weiss, he was the FBI guy that came in as our superintendent. He made the mistake right at the very beginning of saying he was going to reallocate officers from the northwest side and send them to the busier districts. And everybody went nuts, and they shut that down. Well, what they figured out was, all right, don't say that we're going to do that, and they just don't keep up with attrition. So these districts, we have a lot of senior officers, they start retiring, they just don't replace them.
Okay.
So that we drop. When we had almost 300 police officers at one time, we're down to 170 in this district.
Almost half.
I mean, it's incredibly low. There are days when they are actually downing police cars because we just don't have the manpower to put them up. So we actually have now less officers that are patrolling at any given time.
And criminals aren't onto this, right?
Oh yeah, they figure it out. And like I said, if they're coming up here and they're stealing, they're doing robberies, they're doing catalytic converter thefts, they're doing all these things, and they go back and say, hey, there's nobody stopping us, nobody confronting us. So this is the 16th district.
So full circle, we're coming back to migrants at the station.
Yes. Hey, Rich. So.
Wow.
He says, talk to him.
¿De dónde eres?
Venezuela.
Venezuela. Maracaibo?
No.
Caracas.
Ni Dios lo quiera, de Caracas.
De Caracas.
El niño enfermo. Un mes acá esperando el albergue. Tenemos muchos menores de edad. Necesitamos un albergue. Solo vinimos a trabajar, pero necesitamos un albergue.
This is wild, John.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you.
And this is what the other district will look like when they start to wind up for the night. I mean, they were probably all outside earlier today.
So it's like a lot of these officers are working at a nursery.
100%. And sometimes, I mean, it gets so loud in here, it's hard for them to hear. Yeah, it's...
What's up, you guys?
So people bring in stuff to them all the time. You know, they set them up with food over here.
¿Cómo te llamas?
Carolina.
Carolina. ¿Cuántos tiempo aquí?
Casi un mes.
Un mes. Un mes. Just when you think like you've seen it all in life, Sean, I'm just coming into things that...
And it comes back down to, again, there's no plan. They have no plan. You know, this didn't just start last week. This has been going on like this for months.
Mira, los niños están enfermos, casi están enfermando acá.
What do you got here, medicine?
Oh.
Flema,
They're sick?
¿Quién tiene enferma? ¿Ella? ¿Qué tiene?
Fiebre y todo.
She's got a fever? Yeah, so see, she's sick. So, and she's sick, they're sick. So, don't know what they're sick from or...
Wow. And so they got full food set up, bananas,
Comes
drinks.
in, yeah.
So why is this put on the police department? Isn't there a better place
That's
for
where
this
it started, and for whatever reason, so...
Hola. No? We're in the police station.
Todos? All the kids are sick. All the kids.
No hay comida, no podemos salir a buscar trabajo.
¿Quieres trabajo?
Sí, pero aquí no podemos trabajar.
Okay, they all want work. They all want work. City of Chicago identification. So they give them full-on IDs?
Oh, todos?
No, unos. Yo no tengo, pero tengo
Él también tiene.
Usted tiene time? Oh, okay, so Chicago, I guess, is giving them... That's the first I've seen it.
Okay, but trabajo? No.
ID.
ID.
Permiso, no.
Oh, all right, that's not a word. That's just identification card.
Okay, so they get IDs, but they can't work.
Not unless they get some type of a work permit.
That's crazy. They can't work.
I know.
This is insanity.
That's what I mean. There's no plan, and there appears to be no plan to correct it going forward.
Just hang out here for a month?
Well, here. So when there was a big push on do something about this, they got one of the local city colleges and cleared them all out and moved hundreds to the city college. That was only during the summer. Now, as soon as the school goes back in session, pulled them all back out and right back to all the districts that they took them from.
So this is the one officer here. Fortunately, he can't speak on the camera, but just one officer manning this station right now. Just met this nice lady outside of the police station. She doesn't want to be on camera, which I understand, but you wanted to say something.
Yes. I wanted to speak out about the people who are being held at the police station. I think that it's a kind and generous thing to do to try to help them, but I also think that they're putting us at risk when we enter to get services because of, again, like the guy said at the front desk, that there is lice, and I had to step out, and I can't be in there because I don't want to catch lice or any kind of virus that they might have. As a citizen, I don't think that's fair to us to have to go through that to get services because they're holding the people there. Like, they can make a separate area for them, but they shouldn't have to put us at risk for whatever is in the building.
Agreed. It's crazy.
Yeah. It is really crazy. It's crazy, and it's scary.
Oh, we got the couple, the young couple down here.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness.
Those guys are funny. John, thank you for bringing us in.
No, absolutely. Thank you for coming out and shining a light on what's going on here. So many people don't know about it because they get little snippets in the media or it's not reported at all. There doesn't appear to be a plan. Now, we did just get a new superintendent. Hopefully, this is going to be key, that the mayor will let him run the departments. Our past mayors like to have their fingers in everything, and non-police officers try to run law enforcement. When you try to run law enforcement politically, it doesn't work. You can't make political decisions. You have to run, you know, if you want to do public safety, cannot be political.
There's a lot going on here in Chicago and around the country, but this was a very interesting look into something I had no clue about.
Yeah.
All right, guys, until the next one.